We have risen from the ashes to school the masses. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Scholars of Wrestling Show, episode 470. I am your man behind the microphone, Scholar Jeff. Joining us this week, the Scholars of Wrestling World Champion and still your undisputed scholar himself, the OG undisputed scholar. He is Scholar Tarek. Scholar Tarek, how's life treating you, sir?
Life is treating me very well, thank you very much. And it is just very nice. Even though I tied with Charlie, it was champion's advantage. And literally the next day, he messages me and goes, "Can I get a rematch?" And I'm just like, "No, Charlie, you have to earn a title rematch. Tying with you is not earning it? No, it is not earning it. Get back in the line. Now I gotta go ahead and just taste some new meat that wants to go for Goldie here. And now we have a new Mr. Scholar in the Bank. Don't worry, Jeff. I'll take this intro from you. You're
It's my one
new.
thing I got.
Yeah, well, this is just glorious. This is a glorious moment for the undisputed scholars. The new Mr. Scholar in the Bank, without any doubt in my mind that he was going to win this. Scholar Brian, my undisputed Scholar tag team partner. Just once again, we're just running this show.
It
What
really
else can we
helps.
say?
It really helps when you have the wheel of death in your favor. Because I was down. I was down. It was not looking good. And then Miss Stratton, thank you. Tiffy time all day, baby. Gets me the beefcake. Gets me the beefcake. And just because I want to stretch out this feeling of the undisputed scholars being on top, I did not do what I probably should have done, considering that you and I tied.
Oh, I know.
But your name's not Charlie.
That is true. It
I,
is
I
not
don't
Charlie.
I don't need to pull a Charlie on you right now. I don't.
I appreciate that. Let
But
us just continue running. Let's
spend a
just
little
continue trying to collect everything on this show and just continue to just ride the high that we're on top of the mountain. And
spend,
see,
spend a
look at
little
this.
time.
And I'm just enjoying just the look of just disappointment on Jeff's face. He wanted that beefcake so bad. He wanted to add that to his list of accomplishment to join us on top of that mountain of
And
the undisputed scholars.
I'm just
and
waiting
Oh,
for
now
you
I'm just
guys to
gonna
finish.
and
oh no.
now
If
I'm
you're
just
waiting for us to
going to
finish, it's gonna be a long while.
and now I'm going to spend time on top of this mountain with my non-existent briefcase, and
Well,
and decide decide how I want this to play out. Do I turn on my fellow undisputed scholar, or do I wait for Charlie or Scholar Jeff or
it's
anybody?
not really a turn. It's just like, you know what? I'll just take the upper hand and just be like, hey, you see this title? I'm gonna hold on to it for a while. And I'll just be like, okay, that's fine. I'll just work my way to get that back. Friendly competition. That's more what it is than just
and
turning on one another.
and see if I can have a better cash in than the best cash in of all time, where I beat Scholar Charlie in his first. He wins the title for the first time. 10 minutes later, I'll be taking that. So let's
Thank you
see if
very
we could
much.
let's see if we could do better this year.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's certainly a lot of, before we get to all of this, okay, what's going to happen next? When am I going to cash in? Who am I going to screw over? Yada, yada, yada. Not only do we need to talk about how we got to this point, we also need to talk about other things in the world of wrestling in a little segment we like to call Backstage News.
Indeed. Let us go ahead once again, as we always do, peek behind that curtain and be like, oh, well, that's just interesting. I see Chad Gable talking to the Creed brothers there. I wonder what that's all about. In this segment we call
Backstage
News.
New.
News.
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 Weirdo contracts, man.
Indeed. Yes, the backstage news of the week, just not even breaking 24 hours ago. We've got who was first scouted out to be a potential top signing by AEW, but no, CMLL's former CML's Stephanie Vakir, whatever you call that, however you pronounce her name, Stephanie Vakir. I'm going to go with that pronunciation. Has officially been signed by WWE, much to the shock of those in AEW, CMLL, and really everywhere else that's not WWE. This was really a surprising one. I could have sworn, given their connection, that she was going to sign with AEW, but no. From what it looks like WWE has seemingly swooped in out of nowhere and scooped up Stephanie Vacker. Your reactions, your thoughts?
I'm not sure if it's as much a surprise as everybody thinks it is, because apparently she grew up in Chile. The only wrestling promotion they got there was the WWE. So it's like main goal. I feel like the main goal for like 80% of all wrestlers these days is to end up in the WWE. At the end of it all, the goal is WWE. There are some that break that mold. I don't think Stephanie Backer is one of those. If there was an offer between AEW and the WWE, it was going to be WWE. That's the way I feel. And let's face it, okay, Forbidden Door, she put on a goddamn show with Mercedes Monet. So it's like, get your money. Put put on a show. She took the opportunity. She seized it. She kicked down the door. She kicked down that forbidden door and was like, "I'm gonna outshine Mercedes Monet in a loss. That's what I'm gonna do." And then I'm gonna get a bidding war, and WWE is gonna pay me a lot of money. And yeah, I'm gonna burn some bridges because CMLL and NJPW are not happy right now. Not happy at all. But you know what? She's in the WWE now, so it's like, why does she care? She got the bag. Good for her.
Tarek, your initial thoughts about hearing about this whole Stephanie Vacker situation?
I actually think it makes more sense for her to go to NXT than anything. I just think it fits the character that would actually show up in NXT. And just really though, look at the comparisons between AEW and WWE when it comes to the women's division. I would say the NXT and WWE in general just seem like the better option of gaining that opportunity to make a bigger name for yourself. Uh, and at the end of the day, it just looks like the Heartbreak Kid knows how to work his business. Uh, but yeah, I'm really happy that that Stephanie has this opportunity. I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to do. I can't wait for her official debut. And just think of the extravagant entrance she'll have. Maybe she'll pull a
Like
Maleficent.
I really think like she needs to be like NXT Women's Champion like immediately. Like pull a page when she first came up to WWE and immediately won the title. Do that in NXT. Do it. Put Steph Vacker immediately as your NXT champion. That she's that far and above over everybody else in NXT. I really feel that way. So it's like if you're gonna start her out in NXT, start her out big. Immediate title win.
I wouldn't go that far, because from what I've read in the reports, she has to adapt to the American style of professional wrestling. That's why she's actually going to NXT and just not jumping automatically to the main roster. And yeah, she's definitely NXT Women's Title bound. I just don't think it's going to be as right away, like pulling a Paige Soraya on it. I think she's just going to have she's going to get there. If anything, they'll probably like if she adapts very well to that style, which I think she's more than capable of. I could see her winning the what was the name of that new format that they tested last year during Survivor Series weekend?
New
Uh,
format.
you know that one where like if you get the pin, you're in the penalty box for like a minute.
Oh, for NXT. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I could see her winning that to like win a number one contender shot. But what is the name of that new match? Which I'm
I'm
actually
blanking.
surprised. I like it very much. But you know me, I'm terrible with names. I'm gonna look that up. You guys go ahead. I'm gonna look that up to get a
Yeah,
confirmation.
I really don't have too much to add to this other than I I feel like there hasn't been in terms of just her signing with WWE. There's a lot of different places where she could have gone. Uh she's certainly good enough where they don't have to put her in NXT, but if they deem her if they he she does need that little bit extra step to really acclimatize herself to American crowds a little bit more, work the American style, yada yada. The powers that be in WWE will notice the signs. I'm pretty confident in that. What I find more fascinating at this particular point in time is really just the level of outrage that we're hearing from from everyone who she sort of severed ties with or didn't sign with or however you want whatever is
Well,
actually happening
I,
here. The
I think that
reaction is what I find
yeah,
most compelling.
I I think the reasoning is okay. She was champion of some sort in all of those promotions. Okay, yeah, she just lost the NJPW title, so you could say like you can say that NJPW is blowing it out of proportion because they did have her lose the title that she had already to Mercedes Monet at Forbidden Door. So she didn't really have any obligations for NJPW. So they're kind of blowing it out of proportion. CMLL, I I'm pretty sure she held like two titles in that company. She was still like champion.
She
Okay.
was.
And she still had and she still had dates that she was signed up to do so that they could get those titles off of her. If it and they were like, okay, finish these dates, leave the right way, basically. Basically. And she was like, no, I'm going to sign this contract right now, and it's WWE, so I'm not going to be able to do any of those dates.
Iron
So it's like
Survivor
I see,
Challenge, that it's called.
Thank you. Thank you.
so it's like I see where CMLL are coming from because that's kind of a dick move on her part. NJPW, she had already fulfilled all obligations. She lost the title. Everything's fine on that end. CMLL, there was unfinished business that had to get done, that should have been done. Now they have vacated titles that they have to figure out what they're going to do for their next show or whatever. So it's like I get CMLL's problem. I understand that completely. And JPW needs to take several seats.
Well, all that being said, that as interesting to me personally as this all was, in terms of our little world of the scholars of wrestling, we had a lot more imminent things to deal with in the form of the Money in the Bank show and the following evening of NXT Heatwave, particularly with Money in the Bank, where all of this madness went down. But in regards to all the show itself and especially the Money in the Bank matches, I felt like this year's Money in the Bank matches, both the women's and the men's, I feel like is it just me or was it a significant step up from last year? I think.
I will definitely agree on the women. The women went out there looking to murder each other, and even though there were a few botches at the beginning, but it's like once you figured out how the match was going to go at the end, and it's just six women trying to murder each other, I'm like, okay, I understand those botches at the beginning, and they actually looked good. They were botches that looked good and made sense with how they were working the match throughout. Okay, because when you're trying to murder people, you're gonna screw up sometimes. You got to get overexcited. You're gonna screw up. So that worked. Um, the men's match was very good, but I think it was a step below the women's match. I did enjoy Drew McIntyre uh, and yeeting the ladder into Jey Uso's face. Jimmy or Jay?
It was Jay. Jimmy's
Yeah,
still out.
yeah. Jay Jey Uso, Drew McIntyre is like, "I'll show you, yeet," and he just throws the ladder into Jey Uso's face, giving him the ability to go up and grab the briefcase. I enjoyed that, but the men's match kind of felt it was weird because you knew who was going to win the women's match, but they made it feel unpredictable by the way that everybody was trying to murder everybody, and everybody was taking moves that would have taken regular people out of a match entirely, and they're just all taking them and getting back up like minutes later. Whereas the men just kind of felt like it was all it was all in an effort to get Drew McIntyre at the end, and it was like whereas the women's match you knew who was going to win, the men's match you knew who was going to win, and it felt like you knew who was going to win the entire time. Like the women's match, I did have doubts about Tiffany Stratton at points while watching that match. It's like, yeah, I said that I was looking for Jey Uso to win, but I never actually thought watching that match that Jey Uso was going to win.
Man, I am just in the minority in that. I didn't want Jey Uso to win at all. It's
No,
just
I
it's just
didn't.
so hilarious. I just have to point this out. It is so hilarious to the fact that like I like Jey Uso. I find him entertaining. I just never want him to win anything. At least as a singles competitor. I was like, I
Yeah,
never wanted him to win the Intercontinental Championship just because of the like, well, one thing, you're going against Gunther. I don't need another bloodline. I don't need another Samoan bloodline member to just take another piece of gold. I don't need that. But in this one, I don't know if it's just basically just I'm sick of like the overhype of the crowd of people just saying, "Oh, Jey Uso needs to win." When I look at everyone in that lineup, I never believed it wasn't anyone besides Drew McIntyre winning this Money in the Bank. And in all honesty, Brian, there was never any doubt in my mind that I thought anyone other than Tiffany Stratton was going to win. The only other person who had any licking of a chance was probably Chelsea Green, but I was just the more I thought about that, the more I just laughed at it, and the more I was just really going against her winning ever since she made that claim. If I win this, I'm changing the women's championship to the Divas championship. I don't want that back. You can keep that. You can keep that in
well,
the past. I was like, let that dream die along with you going through that table, through those
well,
couple of tables.
I'll put it this way. Okay, the only reason I picked Jey Uso to win was because I didn't want what happened later in the night to happen. I didn't like the idea of just immediately it's one of those, like, I knew it was coming. I knew if Drew won, I knew exactly what was going to happen later in the night, and I
Because he
was
said he was
never a
going to do
fan.
it.
But it was like I was never a fan of the outcome that happened.
I'm in that
I
also.
was
I'm in that
never,
minority as well. I absolutely loved how
but
it all played out. But just I feel like they also kind of heard it with how they went, how it progressed on the next night. Oh, not the next night. That happened a couple nights later on Monday. But the whole fact of having
I
Drew
thought it would
McIntyre,
have I thought it would have actually worked better if it was if it was actually after the match. I didn't like the idea of Drew McIntyre inserting himself into the actual match, and then they get they made it work the next night because Seth Rollins absolutely murdered that promo, and it was great. And
oh yes, absolutely.
so that
And
turned so that turned around, but I was like, I didn't like how they went about the actual cash in.
well, when you
But it
also
was
look at it, when you look at it in the long run, when you look at it in the long run, there is like, how can you get Seth Rollins involved in this storyline without having the cash in during it? To which, in the end, gives him involved because CM Punk screwed him out of his chance of getting the World Heavyweight Championship as long as Priest is champion. Which, again, I have to point out, they kind of really hurt that with that stipulation, with Damian Priest saying, "Oh no, I'll give you a title match after I face Gunther," and I'm just like, "You son of a bitch, go stick with the rules of the match."
because this is awkward because now it's in the back of my mind, like, hey, Gunther might not actually win if
Oh
they're
no,
actually
Priest.
if they're actually trying to set that up again. I'm like, now it's in the back of my, why are you doing that to me? Why are
I
you
don't know.
doing that to me?
It's more just like showing that Damian Priest is on this path of being of turning into a baby face, which, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not digging the Damian Priest's. I'm not digging the Damian Priest character going right now. He he he's pointing himself as the leader of Judgment Day, yet all he's doing is just bitching at everyone else for not doing their part, and instead of helping his brothers, he's basically downing them. And I'm just like, well, you're just looking like a complete asshole. Now I'm getting why Finn is getting so pissed off at you, and I'm siding with Finn more than Damian Priest. Uh, and at this point, when you are like having your big title matches have significant moments where, one, you're getting your leg caught in the ropes against, who did he face?
That
Against
was
Drew. When you're missing the 3 count, I'm not gonna just be like, oh, you are a sucky champion, but it's just like, I don't know. There's just so many times you can make those mistakes, and just also being a interesting character, which you're not really being an interesting character to me, because you're basically, instead of trying to help, you're belittling your teammates. You're trying to think, oh, I can do this on my own. They don't need I don't need them, type of like what are you trying to prove, other than just saying, like, when the time is right, you basically turn your back on your friends who have helped you in the past? It just makes it look like he's kind of just a douchey character, and I'm just thinking, God, where are you, my ring king? Take this title off this idiot. Uh be his Ricochet for your Intercontinental Championship to your inevitable World Heavyweight Championship win. Cause, my God, I'm done with it. When you're becoming basically the most least interesting character of your feud, you're not making that significant mark as World Heavyweight Champion. You got CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, and then coming up Gunther, and then you're the fifth most important person of a storyline. Okay, when it comes to you being like making your mark as like showing that the World Heavyweight Championship means something, it's not working for me.
Well, then again, I think there's a number of other factors in play here, at least when it comes to Damian Priest. First of all, there's also the aspect of the cash in of where how he originally got the title. Yeah, it was a hype moment, but unless you, depending on who you are, unless you're like really knocking it out of the park, and depending on who you are, in most cases, I'd argue that if you win via Money in the Bank cash in a lot of cases, not all, but in a lot of cases, especially if it's your first title win ever, most cases, I feel like there's a little bit of a detriment there to there's almost I don't want to say there's an asterisk, but unless you come screaming out of the gate and you just have a really strong already over character, this can be sort of almost like a half detriment to
I
your credibility as a champion. If
I
that makes sense.
I honestly only think that the Money in the Bank briefcase has helped two people that have ever won it. I think it's only been Edge and Seth Rollins, the only ones who actually used the Money in the Bank briefcase to the fullest extent, and it helped their characters become top tier. Edge and Seth Rollins. Everybody else had a crappy reign off of it.
The one thing that I like about this particular cash in is like, yes, even though it is a fail cash in, it's developed the story even further, and now you even add Seth Rollins to that mix when it's being used to help the story instead of just having it be the moment, which the cash-ins of past are just, as you put, Brian, just failed on creating stars. This one is just keeping this going, and now keeping the pretty much the big storyline of Raw of Drew McIntyre and CM Punk, just continuing it even further to the point where it's just like, okay, and now you have Seth Rollins. You have from those when he came back at Survivor Series War Games. Now it's just reached that point of this is just such great storytelling that's being told by these three guys, and then you have Priest as well, who's just one thing. He's clearly lost in both of his big world title matches, and yet he's still world champion.
And I honestly think that they're making a mistake by bringing back Drew McIntyre this early from doing
From his
business
quitting?
for his no, not from his quitting, from the suspension. I'm like,
okay, I get it.
I'm like, you should do Seth Rollins versus CM Punk at SummerSlam. You're setting up bad blood. You can have Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk in a Hell in a Cell at Bad Blood. You don't need Drew McIntyre to be. You can suspend him through SummerSlam. Get him really pissed off. Just have him stew through SummerSlam, and have that dude in a Hell in a Cell with CM Punk. I'm like, I think you're bringing Drew McIntyre back too early.
Well, it looks like they're kind of directing it toward a triple threat at SummerSlam between Seth and Drew.
I don't like that. I'm like Seth has a problem with CM Punk. Drew has a problem with CM Punk. Drew is suspended supposedly indefinitely. Roll with that. Have Seth versus CM Punk, and then have Drew, and then set up Drew versus CM. You get two singles matches out of it instead of killing it off in a triple threat at SummerSlam.
I actually think they would be saving. I think they are saving that Drew Punk singles one-on-one for Bad Blood.
I don't think you need the triple threat. I just don't.
It just now begs the question: what would Seth be doing for SummerSlam?
I'm saying keep Drew suspended and have Seth face CM Punk because CM Punk screwed him.
Well, like now we reach that point. It's not gonna happen. The suspension has been lifted.
And I hate that. That's what I'm
Oh,
saying.
I know that's what you're saying, but now it's just there's now at that point it's like, well, we can't. There's nothing we could really do about it. But looks like they are going for that trip. They're aiming for that triple threat of basically having the three big names on Raw go for the second biggest pay-per-view. And it's the 2-night one. This is the first time they're doing the 2-night SummerSlam this year, right?
Yeah.
Or is that next year?
I think
I
it's
think
this
that's
year.
the 2-night one. No, that's actually the 2-night SummerSlam. That's next year, 2025.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, and another thing that pissed me off about Money in the Bank, Braun Baker versus Sami Zayn. Very good match. Very good match. Kind of crappy ending. One haluva kick took him out.
I will like. I'm okay with Sammy winning. I wish it would have been like 2 or 3.
Yeah,
Take him out.
I'm like, you're gonna really expect me to believe that it's only gonna take one haluva kick to take out that brick shit house? Okay, no. Shout out to Pat McAfee. That was fun.
That was fun, and that clip of Michael Cole's reaction after he said it was just hysterical.
Yeah.
And apparently everyone else thought it was too. They were just bawling and laughing when he said that. It's like that is just fun. That's just great. I'm glad. It's like I'm glad he's on the commentary team. Keep him going. I can't wait for Netflix so they wouldn't censor him out like that.
Yeah, but it's like you're gonna expect me to believe that this guy can run around in circles, spear the crap out of everybody. He's just powerhouse, all of this, and one haluva kick, and he's done. No, I don't believe it. I actually do think that hurt him a little bit.
I don't think it hurt him at all. With how they did it and how they kind of just kept him going on Raw, I don't think it hurt him.
With how they brought it back on Raw, yeah, but in the moment, this is what I'm saying. This is my thoughts on Sunday. Saturday?
Saturday.
On Saturday, as it was happening, not knowing what was going to be coming on Monday, that hurt him in that moment. And then Brick Shithouse on Monday, and it's like, okay, he's back. But in the moment, I'm like, one haluva kick could take this guy out. No, doesn't work for me, brother.
It honestly didn't bother me. I never thought I was like, oh man, this guy is ruined now. I never thought that at all.
Oh, I never said he was ruined. I was like, it brings down my estimation of his badass power a little bit.
I never thought that at all. I mean, you're losing to the champion, so it's not really gonna. I didn't think it hurt him one bit. I just thought, okay, I'm like, there's no way this feud is ending after this one. They're obviously going to keep it going.
Oh, so, yeah, no doubt.
Like my frame of mind is like, he's going to eat Sammy alive on Monday. That was my immediate response. Like that, like he underestimated Sammy. He's pulling that whole, once again, he's the true underdog champion that everyone underestimates. And still pulls out that huge win because he has such a big heart. You need to check that out, man. It's not good for you. And he's just like, okay, well, all right. Oh, that's it. You beat me. Yeah, good job. I guess I gotta get back in the line. Oh wait, I think I can find out to get right in the front. Oh, bitch.
Well,
it never. I thought, yeah, this guy. It wasn't
exact. It's also a part of the story of how Adam Pearce can't control his own show, because that was like part 2 of Massive Mayhem on Raw. And he hit him with the Tim McGraw. He's like, look over there. And he did.
What's that?
What do you think? I'm like,
I'm like, Adam Pearce, you are such a stooge. It's a good thing you have Bo Dallas here looks like he's gonna be pulling your strings. He's gonna take you over.
and that was a great shot though. That was a great shot of just him opening the door and just Bo Dallas doing the slow head turn with the grin. I'm like, yes.
All right. Now we're just going to start going into Monday Night Raw territory. But before we go any further with any of that, final beard ratings for Money in the Bank 2024.
Brian, you can go first on this one.
I had my issues, but the content was good. Great. The matches were great. I had some quibbles with the with some of the endings and how some things came together. Uh, the ending of the world heavyweight title match was just kind of weird. The missed kick out and all that. It just kind of made everything about that awkward. That's another thing I could say about that. Everything leading up to the cash in was just awkward. Once the cash in happened, everything got back to normal. But the last like 3 minutes of the actual match was awkward. But I have no problem giving this a low full beard because of the content of the Money in the Bank ladder matches. The Braun Breaker versus Sami Zayn was great. I didn't enjoy the ending. And you got the storyline building main event. And Jacob Fatu is a fucking beast. But yeah, low full beard. It did the job.
All right. Cool. You want to give us your final beard ratings for Money in the Bank?
I'm gonna go full beard. I'm not gonna go low. I'm just gonna do a straightforward full beard. I had so much fun with this show. Um, there were some issues. Yeah, the botched ending, with Priest kicking out, continuing just making him look like a weak champion. And I do like the man himself and the wrestler. I'm just not a fan of how they're presenting him. Uh, it's just give me my ring king, the future world champion, sooner rather than later. SummerSlam can't get any closer for that end. The Money in the Bank matches were so much fun. I like the cash in because it added more to the story, which that's what I like, that they're actually using the cash in for story purposes, not just for moment purposes. They actually have plans for after the cash in, unlike what they had with Dolph or uh, Jack Swagger and all that. I didn't mind. I didn't the Braun Breaker, like, I do agree with you. It could have been more than one just to really show this man's strength, kind of like how Undertaker had to do three tombstones to
I'm like,
keep Kane down their first match.
do the same thing you did with Gunther.
And yeah,
Look like
do the same thing. Multiple goes. Yeah, I agree with that. But it didn't affect me as badly as it affected Brian. But overall, I had a really really good time. I mean, yeah, we didn't talk about the 6-man tag match that much, but it was a great 6-man tag main event, and Jacob Fatu was the highlight of that one, just showing how he really is he's really that strongest factor that's really keeping this new bloodline strong. And you have Solo pinning your WWE champion, setting up that inevitable match at SummerSlam. Overall, it was a very good show. I really enjoyed it. 4 out of 5.
This is where I'm going to differ with you guys. I feel like while I did enjoy the show as a whole, I can't. I feel like I feel like we're skewing a little bit high here. The Money in the Bank matches themselves did a lot of heavy lifting, but excuse me. While I feel that the 6-man tag at the end of the night was good, it's loses a point in my mind for just not sending the crowd home happy. Like the crowd just absolutely dumped all over that thing. I get what they were trying to do. I didn't have a problem with it in that regard, but it just seemed like it knocked the wind out of the sails of the crowd completely. And this is speaking as someone who wasn't really too bothered by the missed kick out at the time, although I can certainly see why it bothered a lot of people. But be that as it may, again, good show, but there were some very glaring things that ultimately had to be carried in the end by the Money in the Bank matches themselves and the storylines that came from. So all that said, I personally am going to go with a classic goatee, 3 out of 5 even. I know I was tempted to go okay, high classic goatee, low full beard. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna draw the line in the sand. I'm gonna lay it all down. I'm gonna go 3 out of 5 classic goatee up for Money in the Bank.
Hey, it's not me this time. Good stuff.
Hey, it had to happen at some point. But before we go into the rest of WWE, I do feel like it's necessary to go through a little bit through NXT Heatwave, because for all the objections we through with Money in the Bank, I feel like NXT Heatwave absolutely delivered and then some.
NXT Heatwave made NXT look like the main brand. Like I honestly think, well, it's easily the best show that NXT has put on in probably years. Okay. And I think that everything on Heatwave was better than what was on the Money in the Bank shows. There was no weak link here. There was no calm down. There was no, it was just balls to the wall the entire time. And there was even the ending at the end was perfectly done. Trick Williams hits the knee, and the only thing that was weird was Shawn Spears dragging him out of the ring and holding on to him. I'm like, you don't want the title? You're not trying to break that shit up too? No. But that was a little weird. But the Trick Williams hitting the knee to Ethan Page and Ethan Page falling on top of Javon Evans to get the knockout pin was perfectly done. Everything on the show, there was no weak link. There was no glaring botch. Like it was the show of the week. It was the show of the weekend, and NXT's show of the year, hands down. NXT's show of the last couple years, hands down. But Goatface.
Sorry, I was muting my laptop because I had a cough. I'm going to differ from this one as well. I'm going to go with a full beard on this one, as it was definitely a step up from what we saw the day before as a whole. It didn't have the whole highlights from the Money in the Bank, but as a whole, this card just seemed very consistent. That's the word I'm going to go with. Plus, with what we got from the main event, with Ethan Page winning the NXT championship, which I'm not mad at it. I dug the choice. I think it's going to elevate everyone involved.
And I like how it's how it happened. Okay, if he straight up won the damn thing, then I'd be like kind of like iffy about it. But the fact that he won but didn't win, like he didn't hit a finisher. Like he did nothing to earn that win. and that's what put it over the top.
And you know what? It's for someone like Ethan Page, I'm cool with it. Where the meta narrative of who Ethan Page is, it works. But with the character on screen, I feel like that works too. And just it all seemed like it flowed a lot better than Money in the Bank did in terms of like tempo and just like how the show ended and all that, if that makes sense. But either way, I dug it. I'm going to go with full beard. Cool. What do you think?
Well, I can't give it a facial hair rating because, in all honesty, I didn't watch it. I haven't watched it yet, but like just
And
from the
here I thought that
results.
was going to break the deadlock.
Oh, sorry, I can't help you. I can't help you guys
Hey,
there on that
it
one.
happens.
But
It does.
I mean,
What are you
I
going to do?
do plan on watching. I just never had the time to actually watch it. But just from the storyline aspects of like just really, since the biggest story to really come out of it is just Ethan Page accidentally winning it, and it was just really perfect for that character to win it under that circumstances. And I do think it would actually elevate him to the point he's going to be just that perfect chicken shit heel champion that will just somehow find ways to keep a hold of that title and just elevate his character to that stardom. I'm looking forward to seeing where he goes from here, which is
I'll
now
give you
apparently leading to him and Joe Hendry.
I'll give you I'll give you a preview at least of how I saw it. It's the first time in a while that I've felt like I was watching NXT Black and Gold.
That's what I've been hearing too. That it's really feeling like that old or that NXT of old. That funny enough, it's like, oh, it's better than the main roster, even though Triple H was in charge of Black and Gold and now he's in charge of the main roster. It's just the hilarious irony in that. It's just continue to show that just DX is just really taken over creative of WWE, but both in the NXT and the main roster going, and I'm
And
just so
and
it's just so much fun to watch.
I saw a meme today and it was funny. It was about how they write people off the TV, and it's Triple H up on the main roster. We're gonna injure a guy just in case we bring him back. And it's Shawn Michaels at NXT. Throw him in the trunk, push him in the river. We're killing them. They're done. Because they just did that again with what's his name's brother, um, the NCAA wrestler guy who signed with the Bills, uh,
Oh,
Stevenson, Gable
Oh, Gable
Stevenson.
Stevenson. Yeah, yeah.
His
oh,
his
okay,
his
yeah.
brother just got his contract just didn't get renewed. Damon
So they
Kemp or
killed him. So
whatever.
they
So,
literally killed him. They killed
yeah,
his character.
so you see the no quarter clutch crew or whatever, and you see them close a trunk, and then they're like, no mistakes, no excuses. And it was right after they were talking about Damon Kemp, and it's just like, oh, they killed somebody else. It wasn't the Italian guys this time because they're baby faces now.
That's so funny.
Yeah. So we have a new group killing folks.
Because why not?
Why not indeed? And speaking of why not, moving on from the weekend's premium live events, this weekend wrestling also it hasn't stopped there. We also had a lot more from WWE, especially the late you've already mentioned Bo Dallas showing up in the office of the GM just immediately after his that whole the latest Uncle Howdy tape was was revealed, which honestly this was the one I was waiting for, where they sort of go a little bit into the backstory of each individual member and just sort of recognizing who they are underneath the mask. Uh, What real quick, what did you think of this tape and the subsequent reveal of Bo Dallas talking to Adam Pearce? What do you think?
I'm glad they showing that humanizing these characters, because that was always the one thing. That was always the one problem with the Fiend is he is like when they have him wrestle, he is how can you book such a unstoppable demon monster and like in the ring wise, because character wise he's absolutely brilliant. But once that bell rings, that was always the hurdle for the Fiend, and showing and the Hell in the Cell Seth Rollins, him getting squashed by Goldberg is just complete signs of that. At least with this one, you have them in their masks, but that's exactly what they are. There are masks representing the pain that they are feeling inside. They're humanizing these characters so that these are just lost souls and showing how they're being expressed through Bray's vision. And I just think it's absolutely brilliant. I can't wait to see what Bo in the GM's office is just hinting at for future reference. I couldn't be any more hooked in.
It's like for all those people who had questions about whether Bo Dallas was going to be good enough to lead this crew based on what he was doing when he was first on TV. Okay, there's no more questions now. Okay, this is the best work of his career. And it's like as Tarek said, I'm locked in. And just that slow head turn while he's rocking back and forth with the tiny little grin looking up at Adam Pearce's face. It's like I'm locked in. Keep them coming. Okay, I was especially with the Chad Gable bit of it. It's like you know what that's leading up to, but it's like the intrigue of the group itself. I love everything that's going on with this right now. They anyone who had questions, they're being answered at a rapid rate.
Yeah, it's like we're seeing every objection that anyone had with the way Bray originally did things and the execution of it. You can tell that everyone involved, from Triple H to Bo himself, really focusing up and taking an already amazing idea and just focusing it up into this new, more cohesive form. And I'm just enjoying the ride at this point. I think we all know where it's going. It's very easy to speculate at this point, but I'm just enjoying it just like everybody else. With all that being said, that was not the only major storyline that we had that seemed to capture the imagination of the wrestling world, at least on the WWE side, because we did indeed get the return of Rhea Ripley, just as it seemed like Dominic Mysterio was finally folding to Liv Morgan. Mommy's back, and now big heavy drama. Oh boy.
I did love the laugh out loud moment when Liv Morgan was stretching him out, and you just see in the corner, in comes Damian Priest, in comes Carlito, Finn and JD with the heads around the corner, Carlito with the they're really leading into the Netflix jokes at this point because Carlito just comes out with, "Hey, your dick's hard," joke.
Venus jokes.
Yeah,
It's not Dominic. It's not that hard. I don't know. It looks pretty hard to me. Erections.
and then I was like, that was the one time in this whole storyline, like I was like, that's funny right there. I'm like,
All this just shows how much I'm loving Carlito, and like he's not in Judgment Day, but just him hanging
Just
around. I'm like, this is just making me love Carlito again, all over again, because he is just pulling out these comedy gold moments.
But
Would
then
you
when
say
Rhea came out,
he's would you say he's cool?
Yes, I would say he's being cool.
yes,
I was waiting for you to say it. Like the line was there. I'm like, you just gotta say it sometimes. You just gotta.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah, yeah,
Rhea
yeah.
came out, and huge pop, huge pop, and like the angry dominatrix bit where she's the dom over Dominic's sub, and it's just like he's all hangdog, right? Right when he's about to make out with Liv Morgan, here comes the angry dom. What do you do? And
Caught
it's
in
just
4K.
yeah, and it's I kind of and now Rhea versus Liv, and Liv is succeeding in her goal of fucking with the Judgment Day, because
I
I
think
think
that the
that
one
this is how they're this is the beginning of the dissolution, I think, of the group.
oh, it's already been there. It's not the beginning. It's already there.
Well, I
It
mean, like this is the beginning of the end game.
okay.
We've been building, but the end game is here, and this is the beginning of it.
I like it's like I like the little additional like back like YouTube exclusive or like yeah, just the exclusive of Liv watching the stuff between Rhea Ripley and Dominic go in the ring where Dom is like, "Hey, mommy," and she's just like, "No." And then she just turns around and it basically turns into that like that evil cockroach and Family Guy just going, "Good, good." Her plan is just like, my plan is working. Good, good. I'm just completely screwing her world. I'm destroying everything she loved. The revenge tour is happening. It's working. That's pretty much yeah, yeah.
Just watch next
She even
week.
had she
Liv
even had
Morgan
a
will
deep
go into
voice.
that exact voice. She'll be like, haha, I'm a Jersey girl. It's working.
It's all part of the plan. And yeah,
Liv, did you just change voices like 3 times in 5 seconds? Why, yes.
I don't know. It's like I don't know what you're talking about. It just skips away.
Oh boy.
Jersey represent.
Oh yeah. Every time my wife is watching with me and she just goes on like, oh yeah, go Jersey girl, awesome, local girl done good.
Oh, yeah, she knows what Liv is about.
Oh yeah, for sure. But you know what? The hits don't stop there. They don't stop with WWE because we got some major turnarounds coming from this past weekend from AEW Dynamite. We got the finals of the Owen Hart tournaments set, ultimately leading into 2 major matches that are going to be set up for All In. First, on the men's side, we got Bryan Danielson winning the Owen Hart tournament for the men's side, ultimately setting up a title match between him and Swerve Strickland at All In, which was not what I was expecting. But the
It
big
was what I
one,
was expecting. It was what I was expecting, because I believe that they are going to go, pun intended, all in on the on this. Hangman is too focused on Swerve, where he's not focused on where he should be focused. So I was like, I always had Bryan Danielson winning this tournament, especially if he was going after Hangman, and it's based off of that internet promo that Hangman put out. Amazing promo. But in that moment, I knew he wasn't winning the tournament because he's too focused on Swerve when you have Bryan Danielson, the GOAT, right there. Okay, you have to beat him first in order to get the Swerve, but you're too focused on that dude. when you have a guy that's clearly better than you, that you need to be focused on more. And that was proven in the match where he got beaten by the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the surprise roll up.
Deliver with
Because he
pinpoint
wasn't,
precision by the best in the world to ever do it.
yeah,
So,
because he wasn't focused. He wasn't focused on the opponent. He's just trying to get the swerve, and that's proven later in the night when he joins up with the Elite to be in Blood and Guts.
Oh yeah, the
Only
second that
because
Swerve said that he was going to be in it, I was like, oh,
only
yep, well,
because Swerve only
inevitable.
because Swerve is on the other team.
Yep.
It's everything about Hangman right now is about Swerve. So you're not going to get Swerve because you're not focused on Bryan Danielson. The only way you're going to get Swerve is to join up with the people who suspended you in the first place, which is why you're also mad at them.
oh, what a tangled web we weave. I'm still enjoying every second of it. But the one storyline that's got my attention more than any other in AEW right now, you know the one I mean. It is Mariah May winning the Owen Hart tournament for the women's side, and then setting up the big money match between Mariah May, Tony Storm, AEW Women's Championship. But then the turn happens.
But
Mariah
then
May
the
turns on
heel turn happens.
the turn from Mariah May, Tony Storm utterly
Did not watch out for
obliterated.
this.
She did not take her advice. She did not watch out for the shoe. And boy, did she pay for it. Like, this felt like, if you've seen Game of Thrones, like, this felt like red wedding material. Like, oh no. Oh no, this is bloody. This is bad. Oh no. I did I figured something was going to happen eventually, but I did not expect now, and I did not expect it like this.
Yeah, it's like you did. It's like this has been planned for a while. You could see it coming a mile away just based on how Mariah May has been acting this entire time. Since the moment she came into the company, this has been building since November of last year. If you really think about it, from the moment she asked RJ City about meeting Tony Storm, okay, this has been in the works. But it's like I did not expect immediately after the tournament for that to happen. And I honestly think it's the best executed heel turn or turn in general I've seen in years. Like this was perfect. This was the perfect angle, and they both, even the butler, Luther. Okay, everybody involved in the storyline since the beginning. Okay, perfect story. You played it out perfectly. We're here now. And like we can just put this prediction in right now because obviously Mariah May is winning this title. Okay, okay, but it's like you've played this out perfectly, and it's going to end the way that perfect ending. It's like it's the perfect story. We've been waiting for a perfect storyline, and this is it. We have it now. It's been perfect all the way through.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, this, if there's been any criticism of AEW about, like, okay, it's lost some momentum, no, things are finally clicking, and they're clicking super hard for AEW right now. If you are not watching AEW right now, then shame on you. Like, even if you're not a usual fan, this is where things are finally starting to pay off, and it is paying off big, and it's showing why AEW has the reputation it has, and still why they're still around even after all this time. They're knocking out of the park, and right now, All In is looking to be absolutely stacked to the gills.
I can't add anything more to what both of you just said. Yeah, it was just absolutely just I can't. It's like, oh my God, this is just brutal shit happening here. Just those hit heel shots were just so uncomfortable to watch, but I just couldn't look away. And as Brian said, this is just great, perfect storytelling. I'm just AEW has basically found the right flow to really get themselves back on track to a point where hopefully the viewership starts rising again, because this what they're putting on is just really great TV. And it's just can't continue to emphasize this enough on this show. It is just great. It is a great time. This is a great year to be a wrestling fan. But what WWE is doing with both main roster and NXT with their storytellings and matches, and now you have AEW got their shit back in order with their great wrestling and storytelling to the and uh three-dimensional characters that now I could look at all of this and be like, I am just so happy I'm a wrestling fan. I'm so happy with the content that I'm getting from both ends, and I just can't wait to watch it the next week.
You
and
heard it
and
from
it
you
yeah, and
heard it
it's
here
like
first. Scholar Tarek loves getting it from both ends, and he's very happy about it. Continue.
and the women's division in AEW from a year ago to now, it's like a complete 180. It like last year they were talking, everybody was talking about how shit the women's division in AEW was. Then you bring in Mariah May. Okay, you start with the character of Tony Storm. Okay, when when you give the women more TV time, this is the stuff you can get out of them. And once Tony Khan figured that out, okay, the women, when everything was down for AEW, the women were consistently the best part of the show. Okay, and now it's all paying off because you're setting up your your big matches for All In and Wembley are Mercedes Moné versus Britt Baker and Mariah May versus Tony Storm. I'm like, that's A list right there. That's perfect. They are they are building All In this year so much better than they did last year, and that that's actually a shame because you're not gonna have the 80,000 that you had last year. You're just not, because AEW attendance is down. It is what it is. Call a spade a spade. You're probably gonna get. You already have 40,000. I don't think you're gonna get much more than that. You're not going to have the 80,000 that you had, but you're going to have a much better show because you're building it the way it's supposed to be built this year.
For sure. And frankly, I wouldn't be shocked that the developments we had over the past couple weeks ended up selling maybe not 80 grand, but maybe
You might
much
get
better
50.
than that.
You might get 50.
Yeah, this is absolutely bound to sell some more tickets just because it's all been so good from top to bottom.
Mm-hmm.
With all that being said, now those are our thoughts and full review for this week in wrestling. Boy, did we have a lot to talk about. But now is the time where we turn it over to you, our fellow fans. What else do you think about this week in wrestling? Did your winners come out of the woodwork for Money in the Bank? And did you indeed watch for the shoe? Probably the most important question of the week. No matter what you thought, we want to hear from you all across the internet. So drop us a line wherever you are. We are too. but particularly join in the conversation on Twitter/X, whatever you want to call it. Join in on those Twitter machines and join in the conversation. Cool. Where can they reach you?
You can reach me waiting for the inevitable world title win of my Ring King, the Ring General Gunther, at the Avatar.
And Brian, where can they reach you?
You can reach me holding on to my non-existent briefcase at Atomic Beanful.
And we'll mail it to you or something. I don't know. But in the meantime, you can join the conversation and follow me at I'm Robbie Rage. And for all of these relevant social media links and much, much more, just check us out at our link tree at the description box below. That's linktree/Scholars of Wrestling. And with that, it's about time. I was checking out the clock on the wall. That's our time. But we're going to be back next week with more commentary, more reviews, and more crap talking. Because you know who we are. We are the Scholars of Wrestling, and you have just been schooled. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
welcome.
See you all for more Hey Mayhem next week.